Hi, this is Asim.
This is Vijay.
This is Amrita.
And you're listening to Khandaan, a Bollywood podcast about the three main Khans of the Hindi film industry.
Amir,
Salman,
And Shara.
Hi, you're listening to Khandaan, a Bollywood podcast regular feed. Thank you so much for your support over the years. We now have a Patreon channel with bonus content and exclusive merch for those of you who would like to support us. Every dollar goes towards creating more and better content. Visit us at patreon.com/Khandaan podcast.
Hi and welcome to a new episode of Khandaan Podcast. My name is Asim Bernie and I'm joined with my lovely co-hosts Sujoy and Amrita. Hey Sujoy, hey Amrita.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Why does it feel like we haven't recorded in a while when it's
Yeah.
not true? It feels like I haven't seen your thopras in so where have you been? Time flies. I think a lot has been going on. I think this Ambani wedding has warped our sense of time and space.
Yeah.
It's like that interstellar thing where they fold the paper and then they put the hole through it. It's like, where are we even,
Yeah. I think that's exactly how the Kardashians feel right now as well.
Let's get into it. Let's talk about. I think this episode is just going to be a few random topics, but the main topic is obviously the Ambani wedding because apparently I'm a specialist about this.
So tell us, Asim, how does it feel to be on the BBC?
So, we've been on we've been in the BBC in one way, shape, or form. All three of us, I think, but it's BBC Radio. But BBC TV is like a whole different ball game, which I did not expect. Actually, let me say what happened. Basically, our friend, good friend, lovely friend Harun Rashid, he randomly ropes me into things for the BBC. I think he loves our show, he loves us, but I think also BBC loves a lot of free labor. So it's both of these things. So he was like, he sent me a voice text. He was like, Asim, a producer's going to contact you to talk about something. I've given the number. And I was like, yeah, thanks, fine, no problem. I start talking to the producer and they're like, yeah, this and that. We want to talk about the Ambani wedding. These are the points we're going to hit. I was like, okay, this is not my speciality, but sure, why not? And I was like, okay, so is this going to be on audio? Is this, when am I, when are we recording? And she said, no, this is video and it's for the world news. So obviously, being a commitment kind of guy, I've curly commitment, so I'm not going to back off. But you guys know I'm not I'm very camera conscious. This is not my medium. And this is the reason why we haven't done enough video content as we do, as other people do. But my debut was on the BBC then. So I was like, yeah, let's roll with it. And then funny enough, a few hours later, I also got a message from some channel in New Zealand who was like, hey, we also want to do an interview with you about the Ambanis. So I was like, okay, great. So I then ended up doing an interview with the New Zealand channel too, which I'm trying to get the clip. And if I do, I'll post it too. But it's, the whole thing is available on Patreon if people haven't seen it.
Well, I think Asim was a natural and I never doubted him for a second. And it was also one of the funniest things to witness firsthand because from the moment he found out that he was going to be on TV, Asim was freaking out. And I was at work and I was trying to get something done. And then Asim was just like, can I talk to you? Can I talk to you? Can I talk to you? And then he was like, what do I say? What do I say? What do I say?
That's the other thing. I have to give credit to Amrita because everybody that thought I sounded smart or nice or oh, he's such a romantic, that was all Amrita's words. I didn't have nothing to do with it.
I was like, this is going to go really well. I didn't doubt you for a second, by the way, because I know that you're really good when you're put on the spot.
Yeah,
you're really good. You're able to really come up with stuff. So I wasn't afraid of that. I was just afraid that Geo is one of our major markets, and I was like, the Ambanis are gonna kick us out if we actually say what we actually
feel. Yeah. I think for me, it was like in my mind was like, they're not even here for me. They're not even here for my hot takes. They really just want to hear about the Ambanis. So let's just keep it on that. And the other thing is, I am just generally a very romantic person, kind of like I try to be nice, like, so
it was so wholesome to see you end the interview on that note. Like, that came out of left field. Like, Asim, we know he's such a lovely person, but we also get the behind the scenes gossip and chatter. But this was the BBC. You did not rant at all, and it was so on point, one thing from the next. And like, I see the rise of the insufferable influencer era of Asim now.
The message discipline is what like really stood out to me, because I could see you like sliding towards it, like when you were talking about capitalism and stuff. Like I could see like you were just being pulled towards it, and then you just like came right back, and you were like, no, we are gonna keep it simple.
Yeah. No, I think a lot of people in India also appreciated that, because there's always a certain agenda, and I do feel this about that. Like, and we're gonna get into the Ambani wedding. There is a lot of this idea: why are brown people so rich? Like this is this. I feel there's this narrative like, why are brown people so rich? And I made this point actually on the New Zealand one thing. Like we've all joined into this capitalist game now. And some are better than us. And you can't be sad about it because brown people are winning. Like we've locked into this system that hurts everybody, but it's just brown people are winning on this front. So it is what it is. Like I don't feel like, oh, now we need to talk about wealth disparity when 30% of children in the UK are in child poverty. Like let's talk about it all the time then. Like we didn't talk about it when bloody royals were getting married, or the funeral was happening. Anyway, just wanted to kind of add that rant. Now I'm at home again.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. Like if America still has the most number of billionaires, and there's like people in America who are now going to go to jail because they're homeless. Like these are like things like income inequality it's widespread, and it's a global phenomenon, and it's because of the same bloody people. It's not like we have discovered it. It was like a special thing that happens. So I don't, and and I'm gonna say this without caping for a billionaire, because that's gross. That's never gonna happen. Like, do I think this is rubbish and like a completely trashy, tacky waste of time and money? Yes, I do actually.
Can I say, I had a post note: do not say the word tacky. Do not say the word tacky.
Oh my god, it was so tacky. Oh my god.
Let's get into it. Let's unleash. Let's talk about the wedding now, I think. Let's
wait. I have a headline to read, which was, I think, on The Guardian. The Ambani wedding, after months of celebrations, the Windsors of India finally set to marry.
No, but my favorite was like I think the first line from that article, which was like, there are people now in India who can't remember a time when the Ambanis weren't getting married. Because it's true, right? This movie, I'm saying, this wedding has been going on for freaking ever. Like,
I think
now they're in the after party phase of this wedding.
So I think it all, like, namak has sort of fused into the pre-wedding parties and all of that. It feels like a haze. Like Neeta Bhabi is the party organizer of the century, man.
Let's talk about her. Let's start with her, because this entire thing is very clearly her baby. Like she threw this to celebrate herself. Let's not get it twisted. Like the bride and groom were very much like, also ran.
How is this any different from any Desi wedding? It's literally always about the mother-in-law. It's literally it.
But like there's this amazing, there's this amazing shot of like Modi came to like, I don't know, like congratulate the couple or something. And this was, I think, last night. And Mukesh Ambani is standing like 1 mile away, just sort of like staring. They're all on this of the same stage, and Mukesh Ambani is somewhere in the back. And Modi and like the bride and groom are like having their little sweet nothings, and like they're just being like, oh, hee hee hee. And Neeta Bhabhi is standing by herself, and like it's like the spotlight is on her, and she's, I don't know what is happening with her. Like she's having like she is feeling the feelings all by herself, and in all the cameras are on her, and it's very clear that it doesn't matter, like even if the prime minister is there, or if like the bride and groom are getting congratulated, none of that is the point. The point is that she has arrived at a culmination of whatever her plans were, and she was just like, yes, I am the composer that has seen my composition come to life.
So I have a question for Amrita. Like, how must Tina Munim or Tina Ambani must be feeling right now?
Why that question? Sorry, because I don't know much. So why are you asking that question?
Anil Ambani's younger brother Mukesh Ambani married Tina Munim.
No, the other way around. Mukesh Ambani's younger brother Anil Ambani.
Mukesh's younger brother Anil Ambani married Tina Munim. And obviously,
and that
Anil
was
Ambani,
a scandal, by the way, when it happened, because Tina Munim was very much, she was a wild child. Like she dated Sanjay Dutt. She was in a live-in relationship with Rajesh Khanna, who was still married to Dimple Kapadia. And they would, like, Rajesh Khanna and Tina Munim were like that cringe couple, like they would give these interviews on Stardust and stuff saying that we share a toothbrush. And it was just like really weird. And then like Tina like went away for a while, and when she came back, she and Anil took up, and Dhirubhai Ambani and his wife were just like Kuklaben Ambani. Both of them were just like, wait, we can't have this woman. She's a harlot. Like, we can't do this. And Anil Ambani, like, fought his parents. And Neeta Bhabhi at the time was like, she was it was an arranged marriage. She and, like, Mukesh Ambani had, like, an arranged marriage. She was, like, from a very conservative background as well. And, she was, like, the proper bahu of all kinds. And she was always seen as sort of, like, the dowdy daughter-in-law, the one that was like the good daughter-in-law, whereas like Tina Munim was like very fashionable, and she was like a Bollywood star, and like she knew all the people. And
she's Alia, and the other one is like the. No, that's not. What? That doesn't make sense. I was trying to connect with Rocky and Rani, but I failed miserably. Yeah,
I don't know her. Yeah, but and also like she had a weight problem, So Neeta Ambani, you can see that she has Ozempic face right now. So back then she was like she was chubby and she was dowdy and she was married to the less exciting brother. And then.
Dhirubhai passed away.
And then like there was the Ambani Game of Thrones happened, and after that, like once Mukesh became once and for all the winner, so to speak, there was a change in Neeta Bhabhi's demeanor, and she very much went for the crown of being like the one that has all the Bollywood friends, the one that dresses extravagantly, throws amazing parties, all that kind of stuff.
Because I think when Anil and Mukesh inherited, they sort of went their own ways in a way. It was all still part of Reliance Industries, but Anil Ambani, because of his sort of friendship with Bollywood, went made big cinemas and all the big enterprises, BIG the brand, he made his way into Bollywood. And also I think he bought Ad Labs, but lost a lot of money on that. And then obviously Mukesh did the right thing and went with the traditional business of steel and all the other Reliance Industries, the traditional business that they own, and that's obviously took the market by storm, and petroleum and all of that. And then because Big lost a lot of money, then Jio came into the picture, and now pretty much everything is Mukesh and Anil has nothing. That's why I asked that question. Like when something like this, a 6,000 crore wedding happens, what must Tina Munim feel like right now?
So what are the main hot takes of the wedding that's happening? I honestly
Madhuri Dixit dancing to Choli Ke Piche. That's the hot take, man. That's the moment.
Where are they dancing? Because it feels so congested. Like I watch all of these videos and they look like chickens in a chicken coop. Like what's going on?
They just too many people. It's India. It's India. It's too many people and too many guests.
It feels like a local train or something like that. Yeah. And like it feels like it's like literally every person's song is being played and then they'll do their move and then somebody else will come in and then they'll do their move and people are very happy.
So that was the Barat, right? Like all the dance clips that you're seeing is from the Barat. And I think they had like a designated area where they had like a DJ and Ranveer Singh was having a totally normal Ranveer Singh.
Just a Tuesday. Yeah. Just a Tuesday for Ranveer.
I think like that's why it seemed so congested because everybody was basically making their way to that particular point and then it was basically like a pit and everybody was like dancing and then they would leave basically because it was just and my favorite thing is like oh my god, there's so many things that came out of that particular area because one, there was Priyanka dancing to things like
looks amazing. She looks amazing.
Like main character energy always. Like
the less I see her, the more I like her. That's the thing with Priyanka.
Exactly. always.
Like I was like such a cheerleader. I haven't seen her in 2 years. I was like, yeah, go Priyanka.
You know? And it's even better when you don't hear her. You know, like fewer interviews, amazing. I can just concentrate on that face or on that dancing. Amazing, love it.
Yeah.
And then in the background there is Nick Jonas, who is clearly hating every single moment of it and just wants to leave, and he can't. So that was really funny. Then in the same area, like where like Sujoy was saying, Madhuri was dancing, so she did Choli Ke Piche Kya Hai, and then my favorite video of that is actually shot by her husband, who dances like a white man. And
can I say something I noticed with myself? It clicked in my head. I hadn't noticed this before. I love Madhuri clips until the husband comes in and I scroll away. It's just automatic. He comes on and I'm done. You know? So maybe that's why the clip was good, because he was shooting so he couldn't come in the camera.
It was just really funny because like he has a YouTube channel, by the way.
Yeah, I've seen it.
You know, yeah. So and it's
so boring.
It's so incredibly boring content.
It actually hurts Madhuri because Madhuri becomes boring on it.
It's like, but it's also like stuff that I feel talks to a very specific demographic of people who are really invested in brown respectability. So it's like stuff like, hey, like, what's it like going to like college in the United States, and like, you know, like things like that. It's very like, look at us, we're so relatable. We cook. And I'm just like, I don't really want to watch Madhuri cook. Like that's not like, I want to see her cook, but that's like in a different way. Like I want to see her make like bhaji. Like that's not. Anyway, so there was a video that Dr. Nene shot, and it was just like really cute, and because you could see like all the people that were like around her. Including Varun Dhawan, who clearly was also over it somehow. Like
he was there? Like, I hadn't seen him.
Yeah, okay. But he was like very quiet. Arjun Kapoor and Ranveer are like clearly like still besties and like, you know, hanging out all the time. I had no idea that all the Kapoors were like that close to the Ambanis. Like Janvi and Arjun Kapoor were both like in the like bridesmaids and bridegrooms. Like I didn't know that. That was like that was like interesting information. Then people got really mad at Ranveer. I don't understand why. Like it's still, and
what are they mad about?
They're mad that he was having a good time instead of like going to Deepika's side. They were just like, your wife is pregnant. Why don't you go spend time with her? And I'm like, they live in the same house. Like, presumably they're like together all the time when they're not at a party. Like, they're
Let her sit
grown-ups.
down. Let her sit down. She's pregnant.
No, I think they wanted him to go sit down next to her as well,
Ah,
which he did later
yeah.
on. It is just that, he went out and he like danced in the barat, and then he and
So like it's just like when we go to a desi wedding, we find all the desi uncles and aunties complaining about every single little tidbit detail. It's like everybody on Twitter has become that uncle and auntie who is going to pick and choose what they are going to outrage about, right? And it's because this is the Ambani wedding and it's been shot by many smartphones, uploaded many accounts, and we are getting every single angle of it. We everybody's getting an access to that. It's hilarious.
and then Ranbir Singh's fans were having like a totally normal thing
Mhm.
where, so it started with them saying like, look at Ranbir and Alia, they're so lovely together. And of course, like all the other fandoms were like, no, they're rubbish. Ours are better. And then it's sort of like devolved into somebody saying that, oh, like Ranbir is the most handsome, clean shaven man. Then they were like, he's the most clean shaven, handsome man in this generation. Like, eventually, it was like, he's the most, like, amazing man that was born after 1980 and is taller than 5'9" and lives in Bombay and was born under a full moon and is married to a woman whose name starts with A and ends with A. Like, it was just like getting like super hyper specific, and I was just like, give it a rest. Like, at a certain point, just take your L's and go. um then let's see, Salman and Shah Rukh, of course, were like dancing together, so everybody
Yeah.
was just like, "Ooh, yay!" And then Salman's fans again had a very normal one and started photoshopping
Can
him with
I, as
Aishwarya.
as a Salman fan, can I say that is the most disgusting thing I
Yeah.
ever see, is forcing this idea of him and Aishwarya ending together. I
Yeah.
think it's literally like, like we this idea that this was some tragic love story that they didn't end up together is one of the most sickening things that I can, like, he's done a lot of horrible shit, right? And this is like up there, and like just kind of whitewashing it, it just makes me physically sick when I
Yeah.
see those edits. I just wanted to kind of add that because I
Mhm.
think this is really, I think all of the conversation about Aishwarya is disgusting. All of
Yeah.
it. I
Yeah.
hate it. I hate
Yeah.
it all. I hate the criticism on her clothes. I hate the analysis. Even when people are coming to her aid, I hate it, because it's like, oh, she's in an abusive relationship, or oh, she feels bad, so she's hiding her face behind hair. Like, I hate it all. I hate it all. Like, I see so many takes of it. I don't know what's going on in her family. I don't know what's going on with her health, but I don't understand what the fandom wants from her, and I don't understand how the fandom doesn't see what kind of pressure this puts on her. I don't think they're helping anybody with any of these hot takes they have on her. I hate it. I hate it
And
all.
it's like, it's really weird to me the way they talk about her and Abhishek in particular, because
Yeah.
look, there are some things that we can all see, because like it is very apparent, which is that the Bachchans are clearly not as
Weird.
fond of her. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. I don't know what it is. It's
Yeah.
weird. Whatever rule they have in
Yeah.
place of shooting with one family and shooting her alone, is it literally because they feel she's a bigger star? Is it some sort of L'Oreal tie-up? We don't know, I think.
Yeah.
It's weird. That's what we can say, right?
But like people will talk with like absolute certainty
Yeah.
that like they're divorced, they're separated, they're like this, they're that, and I'm like, I don't know, and neither do you, because like none of us are in that inner circle. And then people will come online and be like, I know for sure because I know somebody who is, and I'm like, it's always like, I know somebody who knows somebody, like, come on, like it's 2024, you ought to know better than that.
Yeah.
So there's a whole thing with Aishwarya. Then oh My favorite bit of the whole thing was, and I think what really made it for me was the expression on her face. But there is this point where Priyanka is dancing in the Bharat, and Nick Jonas is sort of like next to her, and then Ananya Pandey sort of squirrels her way through the crowd, comes up behind Nick, and then just like elbows him aside because she wants to dance with Priyanka. And then she literally like shoves him aside. And she's got like this expression on her face like chal hut.
She treats Nick Jonas like a random Gora at the wedding, which I can appreciate because Nick Jonas does look like a random Gora at the wedding.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Like a lot of people were just like, "Oh my god, so rude, Ananya," and I was like, "You know what? Go, go,
Yeah.
girl, go!" Like that was amazing.
I am an Ananya fan now.
Yes.
What I discovered is the short form of Ananya Pandey is ACP, Ananya Chunky Pandey. So it's amazing.
Good
Assistant Commissioner
Commissioner
of Police.
So, Joy, any hot takes you had? Anything that stood out to
I
you?
was so happy to see John Cena at the wedding.
You saw him? Did you see him?
Well, I put on my special glasses and saw him dancing.
I couldn't see him.
Wait, okay. So Joy, tell me, like, what is the connection between him and Shah Rukh Khan? Like, what is he talking about? Like,
I think he likes a lot of Indian fans, and on his Instagram, he's always talking about Shah Rukh Khan, this, Shah Rukh Khan. He is genuinely a fan. Yeah. Am I frozen?
You froze for a second again, yeah.
Okay. So he's genuinely a Shah Rukh fan. On his Instagram, he's constantly talking about it. And then obviously he is more hyped about meeting Shah Rukh Khan at the wedding than the wedding itself, which he's paid for to make an appearance. But it was genuinely like, I met Shah Rukh Khan, and he was having his fan moment. And everybody went bonkers like, oh, John Cena should play the villain in the next Spy Universe movie. And everybody was like, no, Shah Rukh should go and make an appearance as a villain in Peacemaker or something. It was
was just Shrimi, man. That was only her twisted brain that had that idea.
It's a good idea though. Like I would watch that.
Yeah.
But also the Kardashians were there, and everyone was just like Rakhi Sawant.
Yeah, Chloe.
That was legit similarity.
Yeah.
I could see. Like, yeah.
Except Rakhi Sawant would look better,
Somebody put on a video of Rakhi Sawant actually dancing in a Bharat, and it was like, oh, Chloe learned the dance moves, and I was like doing double takes, like, really, is that Chloe or Rakhi?
The funniest thing was like for the wedding, Kim was wearing like a nathani, like a nose. For people who don't know, like a nathani is like a nose ring with like a chain that goes to your either your hair or your earrings. And I remember seeing like the first photo, and I was just like, why does it look like that? Because it literally looked like, those traffic bollards, like they have those chains that like you put on them. It was like that. It was like huge. And I was like, why would somebody do that? And then like Kim posted a video without moving a single muscle in her face, of course. And she was like talking about like it was some like, Western designer who apparently made it specially just for this occasion. And I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because I can't imagine like anyone who actually grew up wearing those things or like knows what they look like would, design something that looks that hideous.
There was a post by Viral Bhayani about Kim. He's written, Kim Kardashian is the woman of the moment. Of all women, Kim Kardashian is. The way she is carrying Indian attire is just surreal. And I was like, dude, it's just boobs. That's it. That's it. Like, you're not going to tell me that all of these other Hajjai, like Kim Kardashian, it's just a...
also like that particular thing, like like Asim was texting me. I was like, I see like the Kardashians brought the boob show, and I was like, yeah, but also that made me really appreciate the plastic surgeons who work on Bollywood stars, because like it looked so ridiculous, like what she was wearing.
It's clear that certain proportions in certain bodies are made for certain clothing and conventions, fashion conventions, and when you transport it, it doesn't work in an Indian conventions because you want to focus on different things, and it looks weird. It doesn't look necessarily nice, those proportions. Like, look at Janvi, for example, also somebody who's done a lot of cosmetic surgery, but very much in line with our idea of what is pretty, what is beautiful, right? And it doesn't look odd. And she can carry pretty much everything. I'm just saying Janvi is better than Kim Kardashian. I'm just saying.
Hands down. But also, like, Janvi had like an amazing Ambani wedding. Like, she looked fire in literally everything that she was wearing. She looked gorgeous. Everything was like very traditional and beautiful, and I loved it. Like, I thought she was gorgeous.
Sujo, any other take you had?
I think we have covered it all.
Shah Rukh was pair chewing everybody, and that was a big thing too. I saw, like
and that was another thing, because he did like peripona to everyone, especially Amitabh and Jaya, both of them. And then literally the very next day, Amitabh was on the Twitter streets trying to undermine Shah Rukh and being just like, very interesting, blah, 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 because Kalki is like now made like, I don't know,
more
like
money than
Pathan or something.
Yeah.
In some kind of way. And Amitabh was just like, oh, so interesting. Ha ha ha. And literally everybody was like, Begharat. Like, Shah Rukh ne tumhare pair chue. And this is how you behave. So, that was also very funny.
I must also slander our ex-Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who made an appearance at the wedding looking like a homeless person.
Please do not include me in the R here. Tera hoga, mera nahi tha.
I mean, technically, because I have the passport, I have to say.
The passport.
But any like opportunity I get to slander him, I will take it.
Like, disgusting man, horrible.
Like you walk into a big giant hall, a very expensive hall, looking like that. What sort of a
I mean, then you also have Tony Blair, who's like, like literally
Tony
did
Blair,
a genocide, like.
And Tony Blair was hanging out with Shah Rukh, by the way. Like, there's a photo of him hanging out with Shah Rukh and I think Varun Dhawan or somebody random like that, like it was like one of those things. But he was like very excited to meet Shah Rukh. You could see like his face. And he was just like, oh my God, Shah Rukh.
I get it. Yeah. I mean, we're all excited. We're all excited to meet Shah Rukh, like, why not?
I think we should end the Shadi discussion with the boat trip video.
Oh my God. Going back to our initial talk about how tacky this whole thing was. Oh my God.
Explain the boat video, because I hadn't seen it. You sent it to me, and it was really badly shot too. She's like in a plastic swan, and she's like being floated around. It's that thing from Bahubali, no? Is that the thing she's in?
Well, more like Ramanand Saga's Ramayana. It feels like, and then they play the Madhuri song from Arzu to it. Sajan, Teri Dulan. It's giving like VHS wedding of the 80s,
Oh my God. I wonder who came up with that idea.
One also thing about, people on the internet being uncles and aunties and things like that. Also, like also so much fat shaming of the groom that's going on online too, which I also find horrible. Like, I don't like, there's clearly something medical going on, right? Like, if you're the richest man in the world, you can have any trainer, you can have any food.
Yeah.
Weight loss is a complicated thing. It's not about, like cardio kar diya 4 ghante. Like, I've been seeing these horrible takes. Like somebody brought, oh, now it makes sense why John Cena was there, because they were lifting him on the shoulders. Like, a lot of these things, which are funny. I get it. They're funny. You're trying to be funny, but also just like they're also horrible. Both of these things can be true.
Yeah, I think Anand had I think in one of the pre-wedding speeches in one of the ceremonies. I don't know how long this has been going, but he did speak like, growing up wasn't easy. Like he's had a series of medical problems throughout his childhood. And obviously you said it's such a complicated thing, and to comment on that without having the slightest inkling of what's going on.
I think even if they have an inkling, they're still going to comment on it, because you would think that, like there's so much ideas about, these uncles and aunties are so toxic, but you yourself are now those uncle and aunties when it comes to these celebrity things. You have no filter. You don't think at all like these uncles and aunties don't think, whoever these uncle and aunties are. And come on, man, like just, if you can be aware of so many things in the world, like filter your hot takes too. Not everything needs to go out to go viral. It's just something that I find quite disgusting, to be honest. And just wanted to kind of add that. And also, it's also, the wedding is tacky. It is like a waste of money, and they should spend their money better. I get all of that too, but thoda control rakho, like a little bit.
It's funny though that some of the apologists and some people who are defending it are saying like, the wedding industry is real, and weddings like this give employment opportunities. And like,
that's capitalism, right? That's just like, Ho gaya. I would love to hear anybody else's hot takes. Send us at youpodcasting@gmail.com. If anything we missed, anything that's done. And it's still not done. It might be still, there's a lot of things that are happening. One hot take that I did like is that it's still not Sonam's wedding. Sonam's wedding was still Sonam's wedding. I want to see Salman and Shah Rukh drunk together. Salman looked great in that black whatever he was wearing. Looked great. Good. Looking forward to the next movie when that comes out. Let's move on to some other things that have been going on. Okay. We just want to talk about one movie that we watched that dropped 2 days ago. Amrita, you didn't get a chance to watch this, right?
Yeah. Right. So I know I have a bit of a understanding of what the movie is about, and I was just like, I can't do that to myself right now. Like it's just not. I can't do it.
Right. So the movie is Maharaja. It dropped. This is not the Junaid Khan one, because I was even getting confused, because you had Maharaj and you had Maharaja dropping at the same day, in like a couple of weeks. And this is a movie by, I'll try to pronounce the name if I can.
Nithilan Swaminathan.
Right. Okay. And it's the new Vijay Sethupathi movie. And it also stars Anurag Kashyap as a villain. Let's keep it spoiler free, Sujoy. Like major spoiler maybe, but it's what did you think of Maharaja?
It was, I had not watched any trailers. This movie came to the cinemas. It was playing at my local Cineworld, and I did not go during then because I think we all had a time crunch. Like everybody was busy and just couldn't make it. And I was very, very much looking forward to watching it because it's a Vijay Sethupathi movie, and I have enjoyed his work. But I did not know what was it all about. So I went in with zero expectations or zero knowledge about what it was going to be. And I was disgusted, I was annoyed, I was angry, and also wowed by the storytelling of it. I felt all emotions all at once. I also felt a bit manipulated by the way the story unfolds. But I don't know if I can highly recommend it to anyone, because it deals with certain subject matters that at this point in time where we are seeing so much death all around us, it's hard for me to digest all of it and stay positive. Well, that's the struggle every day that we are facing right now, to stay positive and stay sane, I suppose. And this movie really pushes it. It really pushes it. So if you're not, I would say if you're not in the strongest frame of mind, I would not recommend you to watch it, because it really tackles with a lot of violence against women, violence against children.
And it does the violence very callously, very carelessly. It's like almost an aside, and that, like when I stopped watching this movie, you have the rating from Netflix, did you like this movie or not? And I was like, I don't know. It took, I was like, what do I press here? It's very, very dark, this movie. But it also has this and I think a lot of these South movies have this idea of, oh, I'm a fat guy, but I'm actually a badass, and it's like having those two things together. And like the moment the movie started, I was going to text you, Sujoy, because I knew where this was going. Because when you show a father and daughter relationship in that manner with a song in the background, and you know what age this daughter is, you know what's going to happen to the daughter.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is not I'm not in the mood for this.
Yeah.
So I actually went to Wikipedia to read what was going to happen and when it was going to happen, because you know me, man, these things get a lot to me, right?
Yeah.
These are my triggers. So I ended up even forwarding a few sequences in the movies because I didn't want to watch them. I knew what they were getting to. But then the movie is so in love with how it twists the narrative to make it a puzzle. And it gets more focused on how to twist the puzzle than what kind of gets grinded between those pieces.
Yeah.
And I think that doesn't sit well with me.
It is not sympathetic or empathetic at all.
It's not interested in it even, like what actually is happening. And it made me actually think of the movie that I really liked, Irrata, that we watched last year, I think, which deals with very similar themes. Like, it was the first thought I had.
Yeah.
But that leaves you with a sucker punch and like a pit in your stomach of the reveal that happens at the end, where here you're like just kind of like confused, like, wait, like also that happened and how did they get here? And then because you're kind of figuring all of that part out, you forget about the central tragedy to it. And that kind of didn't work for me. Amrita, what did you hear about this movie, and what were kind of the hot, like, the takes that were floating around?
Well, it was I know what the central issue is, what is the central topic of this film. Which, do we want to say what it is?
I think we can say it, yeah.
Okay, so I knew that it dealt with like child sexual abuse, and I knew that it was going to be a father-daughter story. So I actually, like, when you said you were going to go watch it, I was just like, ooh, should I tell Asim, like, this is not going to be his kind of movie? But yeah, anyway, so I know that there was like, this movie just dropped with like very little fanfare.
Yeah.
And it basically, the first 48 hours, all the tweets that I saw were just like, my God, this is like amazing. Everybody go watch it. It's great. And then people whose opinions I really respect a lot started watching it, and they were just like, this needs to come with trigger warnings or with like at least some sort of acknowledgement of the kinds of the kinds of stories it's trying to say. And also, like, I guess like a lot of people heard really good word of mouth on those first couple of days, and so families were going to go watch this film. And they were taking their little kids to watch this film, and obviously it was just like incredibly traumatizing for children. And for families. Like, I can't imagine, like, if I had a child and I took them blind to see this movie and then I saw stuff like that, how I would respond. And I'm not even a parent. So I immediately knew that this was not going to be a movie that I would watch for a while, at least, because I just can't with children being hurt right now. Like, I just cannot. So this is not going to be a movie that I watch for a while, I don't think.
Yeah. No, I get that. I get that completely. And I also get that it is a good movie. Like, I think it's there's a certain type of film viewer that can be okay with a lot of violence for
I mean, we literally just kill.
Yeah.
I think
it's different though.
I think there's like a certain kind of viewer who doesn't empathize with the characters when they watch it. And that must be a wonderful luxury, because I wish I could do that.
Yeah. And I think Kill is an exploitative kind of B grade action movie where this is trying to say something. It is trying to say something about violence and things like that, but I think it does get
I
lost in the
think we are
mechanics.
discrediting what Kill is trying to say. I would just say Kill is like on the second rewatch of Kill, I get a lot more about the world and what it's trying to say rather than just the action set pieces, which are brilliantly done. But behind the scenes, it's also trying to set up a world which is so deprived and what propels everybody into action and what it's trying to say. It gets more meaning with repeated watches. I think Kill deserves a lot more than what is just on screen.
I agree. Because like what I remember is not really the action pieces, because I'm not like I do enjoy action movies, but I'm not like an action nerd like you guys. Like you guys like really know your action movies, right? So for me, like what really remained with me after I watched Kill, and this is a good time for me to say this because I didn't watch it when we were discussing it.
True.
I watched it after you guys discussed it. But what really remains with me are the little throwaway scenes that you had with the side characters.
Yeah.
Where, there's a scene, for example, where the father, played by Ashish Vidyarthi, is saying, we should get off this train because we are losing too many people. And the villain, Raghav, played by Raghav Juyal, he says, yeah, but like, if we get off this train, what are we going to tell their families? Because those families are depending upon these men to bring back, some kind of cash or goods. They won't be able to survive. So this is their insurance policy. Like, we need to do this.
Also, just the power dynamic, because if they get off the train and the Thakur gets off the train, the Thakur is the big bad guy.
Yeah.
So as long as they stay on the train, they are the ones who are, in the power seat.
And that is so fascinating, like the fact that on the train, the bandits are the bad guys. But the moment they get off the train and they go into the, quote unquote, real world, then it's completely flipped.
Yeah.
And that also reinforces what the bad guy says to Amrit at the end, where he says that, like, I killed 4 of your people, you killed 40. You're not a protector, you're a destroyer. Like, that like says like those are like 40 families, or like when you see like the big guy, like the henchman who's like Terminator, he just keeps coming back and like he's just beating up on him. But then like you see that what happens like when his dad is killed, and he's just like, why did you kill my dad? And then and that's when like Arif's mom kills him and goes like, why did you kill my son? And you're like, this guy like literally didn't process that he was like killing somebody else's son. But like can clearly only process the fact that what happens to me is real, but what happens to somebody else, like that is not my problem.
Collateral
and
damage.
That is so indicative of a certain kind or a certain part of society that we live in, irrespective of whether it's in India or whether it's in Europe or whether it's in the United States. You'll find these people everywhere in all walks of life whose idea of like what is real and important is that it happens to them. And not what happens to, like other people.
Oh, I like to add another layer regarding Siddhi, the henchman, the big bad boss in this. And clearly, like in my head, the background story of this Siddhi guy is, he was born to be an athlete. He was going to be the Shan of his village. And then the system failed him. He became Pansing Tomar, basically, the dacoit. He probably was a state champion in wrestling or something, and then became part because there's nothing else for him to do. That this is his only way to earn his bread and butter. There was
this dialogue where like Ashish Vidyarthi is like, oh, this boy, like he हमारे सारे असूल, हमारे सारे सिद्धांत, like सबका सत्यानाश कर दिया. And then he's like, कुत्ता पालो, बिल्ली पालो, गलत फहमी मत पालना. He's like, we're bandits. What do you think?
Yeah.
Like our usul are. It's yeah. I really like that character like a
Yeah.
lot.
Funny. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, going back to Maharaja,
Yeah.
you don't feel that it has the same kind of empathy.
No. The hero and the villain are treated like superhuman. Like the battle of the dad boards is happening at the same time. Like there is like the tonal shift of this movie goes from comedy to hero worship, Saudi masala movie where beheading is happening and all of that, and then coming back to the grave reality of, oh, there is a central tragedy at point, but then there is a comedy uncle as well in a bit where
Yeah.
the guy at the police station extends his ass to be beaten by the police. Yeah, it's all over the place, like, and you are supposed to then find awe in the puzzles and making all the pieces fit into place. Like, sure, that is satisfying to see how the story unfolds, but then you take a step back and look at the larger picture, and I'm like, yeah, this was really annoying. This was very, like, derived, and like it lacks nothing of the empathy that stories should have when they're trying to tell a tragic tale.
It also doesn't make sense. Like they show like Vijay Sethupathi has like super strength, and I was like, oh, was he maybe like a gangster or something? And now he became a barber? No, he's just a
Regular dad.
barber. He's just a regular dad, and it has no consequences. Like I don't understand why they make this whole thing about him tearing up the building and stuff like that. He never uses that strength, and when he's fighting somebody else, he's as strong as he is. So why build that whole idea up? I didn't understand it. Like, okay, if you're a father that is going through humiliation and beatings to extract some sort of justice, that I get, but why does he then also have super strength? Like it would make more sense if you get embarrassed, hurt, beaten, and you barely make it through the end line.
Yeah.
And then you see what was the point of it all in a way. But here it's just like, okay, I'm also super strong and I'm chopping off people's head, but I'm also like a helpless father. There was a lot of these things that, like I was saying, it gets enamored with the plot mechanics more than what it's actually doing to these characters, and that I think is kind of the callousness in the film.
What did you think about Anurag Kashyap?
I think he's great. Like he's reveling in this villain role. I don't know why he is, but he is. I think he's good. I think he's good. The hairpiece is weird, very odd. Both of them are wearing hairpieces, and they're very badly done.
Yeah.
So that was our thoughts on Maharaja. Drop us an email at youpodcasting@gmail.com if you disagree with us, if you think this is a masterpiece that we missed out on. There were a few interviews and news that came out that we want to go over quickly. Akshay Kumar did a very long interview for Sarfira of all movies with Baradwaj Rangan's channel Galata Plus, I think it's called, right? I watched the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
I'm assuming you guys didn't watch the whole thing.
No, because Asim is Akshay's number one fan, as we all know.
It is true though, right? Like I've been quite positive in general about Akshay, I feel, and I do like Akshay still with all of his things. I do kind of like watch his movies, and I do like his approach. And it's funny because it's like a 1.5 hour interview, and I was like, he has so many smart things to say about cinema. He has so many kind things to say about other people, about discipline, which I really like. Having a very kind of he leads a very disciplined life and a very health conscious, focused life, and he was very like be true to yourself. Like these are a lot of things that I very much agree with, like how work ethic needs to be, focus on your work. Even if you fail, keep at it. Believe that what you're doing is good and have faith with your God, Allah. He mentions Allah specifically, all of that, which I thought was kind of cool. I'm just like watching it and I'm like, why do I not see this in the movies you make then? That I don't understand. If you have all of these approaches, because what I like about Akshay, which nobody does, is he does 4 movies a year. And I think that is the big thing. Like, I think this is something Varun should be doing. I think this is something, or Salman should be doing, Shah Rukh should be doing. Give us more movies a year. And he's like, if one doesn't work, it doesn't matter, another might work. I just need to keep working because this is what I do. I work. And I like that work ethic. He starts early, works 8 hours a day, and that's it. And he addressed a lot of these things, like, oh, why don't you give more time to a movie or a project? And I like that. And he had this analogy where he's like, he was asking Baradwaj, he's like, have you bought this shirt or have you gone to a tailor to make it? Patty's like, what do you mean gone to a tailor? It's like, some people go to a tailor, and it's just like a disconnect in realities between both of them. But he was like, yeah, if I go to a tailor, he says, I need 4 meters of cloth for a shirt. If I give him 20 meters, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make economic sense. That doesn't make, so I can be flexible, but a movie needs 30 days or it needs 50 days or it needs 60 days. And he's like, yeah, Bade Miyan Chote Miyan, I gave 90 days and it didn't help at all. If there's enough actors that space out one project every 2 years, and then when that movie doesn't work, they get into a depression. So there's no guarantee that even if you work for a project for 2 years, that is going to be a hit. And I was totally on board with all of that. But I don't know what the movies he's picking. I still there's been a while that I haven't been excited for any Akshay movie. I mean, maybe the last one was Brothers, I guess. That's the last one that I kind of was like, yeah, this could be fun. Bade Miyan Chote Miyan I watched, it was horrible. So I don't know what's happening, what's going wrong in the mix. But I thought it was a good interview. But I don't think either of you could watch like an hour and a half of Akshay talking,
No, that's the feature film length. No, thank you.
Yeah,
I watched the Anupama Chopra interview, which was similar length, but that was okay.
Which one was that?
I think it was on the Tried and Refused channel. So it was like an exit interview, basically. But Anupama Chopra was talking about her time as a film journalist and how wild the 90s were and the trends of the trade back then and how big Stardust was. And Stardust would write anything and everything without any repercussions. And the film stars would actually be scared as shit. They were shit in their pants what their new gossip they are going to write about, and then how it has now devolved into video form basically.
Right.
I watched an interview with this guy called Vishal Punjabi, who owns The Wedding Filmer, and that's the company that has filmed Anushka and Virat's wedding, Deepika and Ranveer's wedding, like all of that. And it was really interesting because I didn't realize that. So he, I guess, like grew up in Ghana, and he's like one of those, those Africa rich people. And he was studying in, I guess, in like the UK or something, and he wrote. He was just interested in film, and he wanted to work in Bollywood. So he wrote a letter to Shah Rukh. And was just like, hey, I'm sort of tech savvy. I can build you a website, whatever. Can I come work for you? And Shah Rukh said, yeah, okay. And he ended up like working.
What's Shah Rukh say? That's it.
And then he was just in Bombay for like a long time, like working for Red Chilies. And then he got deported because he overstayed on his work visa. And then when he came back, he owned the Wedding Filmer, and then that was his company. But it was so interesting because there was like a lot of things that he was talking about that he wasn't. It was just sort of like information that came out contextually rather than him like actually talking about specific things. And to me, those are always like the more interesting things when people are talking about, because it's stuff that they don't even understand the value of when they're like talking about it. Like he spoke he spoke about like being with like a quote, like he called a fancy woman, and he was just like, oh, she was like, I was in love with her, and like I thought it was going to be forever, and then she basically dumped him, and he got deported because she was just like, I'm not coming to Ghana, like what's in Ghana. And then he sort of like slipped up at the end, and it turned out that the woman that he was talking about was Zoya Akhtar. And one of the pieces of information was that he and Zoya wrote a script, and Shah Rukh agreed to work in it. Shah Rukh and Priyanka agreed to work in it. And then he got deported, and that movie never got made. Yeah. And he had like so many, and apparently like one of the reasons why he got deported, according to him, is because he was working for Shah Rukh, and there were like a lot of people even back then who had it out for Shah Rukh.
Knives out, yeah.
Because he was Muslim, and because he was successful, and they were trying to fuck with him, like in however like whatever ways that they could find. And also it sort of like gives you a look into the networking that Shah Rukh has, which is, I think, very different from either of the other Khans, because he talks about like how like Shah Rukh knew the defense minister at the time, and like was like a good friend of his, etc. And it's just really interesting to me the way that Shah Rukh plays like 3D chess. Yeah, so it was like a very interesting interview.
Which channel is it on?
It was on YouTube.
She said Amrita sent a link, so you have it. But yeah, I wanted to watch that because I saw clips of it, but I didn't know the name of the person, so I was like, oh, I need to get into it. But like Akshay took all my time, so I didn't do anything else. Also, we had one more thing, hot take, Amrita. You mentioned about the Bad News trailer, right?
Yeah, look, Bad News is not the movie that is going, like, I'm not going to be watching Bad News. I don't know, maybe I will watch it, but it's not a movie that is like meant for me.
It's going to change cinema as we know it.
I am watching every Tripti Dimri movie. I'm writing it now. I'm gonna watch all of it. Like every movie she does, I'm gonna watch it. I've been on board from Laila Majnu. Like this is not new. This is not Bhabhi number 2 thing.
So that is basically the thing, right? Like there's like weird, the way people talk about Tripti in particular is so weird to me, because for all this time we've heard about like, oh, why don't outsiders get chances? Why don't outsiders, do more projects? Blah, blah, blah. It's a conspiracy. And then Tripti gets a gig. She gets a gig that is, it's a very mainstream, sexy girl
in a Dharma movie.
Sex comedy. Yeah, sex comedy made by like Dharma. And it's just, people are just like, oh, like she's cheapened herself. Like, why is she doing this? Like, she wants to be a mainstream heroine. That's why she's doing it. Like, what part of it do you not understand? Like, this is what Bollywood looks like. I particularly love the fact that, there was this song came out called Janam. And of course, all the prudes on Twitter were just like, oh my God, this is like porn. And I'm just like, no, actually it is not. It's actually not. And people were just like, whoever directed this should take lessons from Karan Johar on how to make like sexy look pure and not vulgar. And then it turned out like Karan directed that song.
It did have that vibe of that Polish 50 Shades of Grey thing that was going on in the COVID period that you were watching, Amrita. I don't know what that movie was called, but there was like,
I can't remember it now.
Yeah, that's the vibe it was giving to me. Yeah, people just get very uncomfortable with these kind of sensual songs, I feel. I don't know why you're watching this with your dad and your niece, like children. Why? Like, why is this a thing?
Watch it on your phone like a normal person.
Yeah, in the bathroom, in the dark, like on the phone. That's how you watch it. Sujat, how did you watch it?
Yeah, the first song was a clue. Toba, Toba. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Vicky has a dance number. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Vicky, I love that song. I love the way that Vicky's dancing to it.
So smooth, so smooth. Yeah. I like it. I like the Katrina-fication of Vicky Kaushal. He needed it. The boy needed it. Like, upgrade the man. It's really cool. I also, by the way, coming back to the Ambani wedding, there was also a scene where he was dancing and Katrina was in the background and the song came over and she got so genuinely happy.
Yeah.
Oh, my husband has a song that everybody dances to. She was like, yeah, this happens to me all the time, but this is now happening to Vicky, so good. It's good. It's good. Anything else? That's it?
Yeah.
Cool. That's a wrap for this episode. Sujoy, where can people find you online?
You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at 93K, and you can follow Khandaan Podcast on all our socials at Khandaan Podcast.
Amrita?
You can find me on Twitter at AmritaIQ.
I'm at Asim on Twitter. Drop us an email at youpodcasting@gmail.com. Sign up to our Patreon. A lot of cool things are happening there, and it's a good way to support our work. You can support from $1, and we'd appreciate it. And thank you for listening. And next episode, we'll be talking about Maya.
Khandaan Podcast for Girl, you're my